In this episode, the teams are out, no Hayden Young, and another Eagles debutant, and some telling comments from Eagles coach Andrew McQualter on the futures of Oscar Allen and Harley Reid. Welcome to the West Sport Show. We are brought to you by TabTouch. Got the touch? Download the TabTouch app today. What's gambling really costing you? For free and confidential support, visit gamblinghelponline.org.au. I'm joined as always on a Thursday by Mitchell Woodcock, who I've just caught devouring the final contents of his lunch.
Yeah, just a little protein bar for a snack this afternoon, Quarters.
Now you're all fired up. So we're fresh off the teams, right? So let's just get straight into it.
Let's go.
Fremantle v Brisbane on Friday night. It's a massive game for both teams, top four and even top eight implications for them. Just the one change. So Corey Wagner returns after a 2-week absence. He had a heel complaint.
Yep.
Came back through the waffle last week. Got 20 possessions with Peel on managed minutes. Out Isaiah Dudley. Interestingly, there no Hayden Young. So I think we saw from the coach Justin Longmuir's language on Wednesday, Thursday that probably going to err on the side of caution. I like that. I think that he's too important going deep. You back them to beat Brisbane on Friday night. You roll him out for their final round clash against the Bulldogs in Melbourne, and you get the week to recover for the pre-finals bye. So that's what I like about that. For Brisbane, some big ins. Ryan Lester and Brandon Starcevic return to that defence. Sam Day is a key forward, and a debutant, Luke Beecher, who is a pick 2 in the 2024 rookie draft. He's a rebound defender from South Australia. Out injured Tom Duday and omitted Henry Smith, Devon Robinson and Will McLaughlin.
Yeah, so I'm curious on a couple of things with that one. So, yeah, I was at the Longmuir presser yesterday where he said Young was unlikely, and you can tell he didn't take part in 18 v 18. He was never going to play.
Mm-hmm.
Interestingly, I wonder if they beat Brisbane tomorrow night, lock away a final spot, do they take him to Melbourne?
Maybe
you
not.
Hold him back for 2 more weeks?
Well, maybe not, because you're getting...
And then play him in the finals.
And he's cherry ripe, isn't he? Given his history, although this is more a quad and he has had hamstring problems. So given his history, I think you do err on the side of caution here because it is so open, Mitch. I mean,
100%.
You can win a flag this year. So,
and that's what he said yesterday. I asked him, is having him and Nat Fyfe, Hayden Young and Nat Fyfe in the same team, is it a risk? Because don't forget, Nat Fyfe, last time he got injured, he was only warming up. Like, Nat Fyfe, what a great career, and we, all the tributes to him, but his body is still a risk. That's the football sense of this all. We have to remember the football sense of it. And Hayden Young is the same at the moment. He's done 3 soft tissue injuries, and I don't care what anybody says, that hamstring is connected to that groin.
Yeah, of course.
The injury's connected. So he said, I said to him yesterday, is it a risk playing both of those guys in the same team? And he said it's always a risk, but selection is always a risk at this time of the year.
Would you gamble with a couple to manage minutes even if they're low in the waffle next week?
Possibly. I reckon if they've cemented finals, you would. Then you don't have to take him to Brisbane. You play him in the finals. Peel Thunder's league side aren't going to play finals this year, so next week's their final game. So then you're not able to – this is going to be a complication for Fremantle come finals. And then what will happen is you might be able to play him in that first week of finals, cherry ripe to go, like you said. You lose this week and maybe you do roll the dice in the Bulldogs game. That's the curiosity with Fremantle. But it's also an interesting position to be in, as well as, Dudley getting dropped. Dudley didn't do much wrong, but Corey Wagner comes in. Who will he tag, Quarters? Who's he going to go to? Is he going to go to Dunkley? Is he going to go to McCluggage? There's obviously no Lockie Neal.
Interesting. One of my spies was travelling on a bus in Mount Lawley yesterday. Well, let's just keep it as one of my spies. And might have spotted a couple of Brisbane players, including Hugh McCluggage, walking around with a knee brace on.
Oh.
Who looked a little bit ginger. Now, I'm not saying he's not going to play. I'm just putting it out there that was what they witnessed, and it was definitely McCluggage. I'm probably going to McCluggage. I think he's a really underrated player. The other one is, Starcevic coming in. Do you go to Switkowski? Do you go to Murphy Reid? Can you go to either or? You know what I mean?
And there's Michael Frederick as well, who's playing his 100th game tomorrow night. Well done, Michael Frederick. So I reckon it's a fantastic position for Fremantle to be in, although a delicate one. Yeah. So, look, I didn't think that ever play him this week. I think 2 weeks for an adductor is too short. It wasn't even a full 2 weeks with the 2 6-day breaks. Yep. So I think it's only 10 days. So it's too much of a risk, and especially when you've got Nat Fyfe, particularly on limited minutes. Justin did say yesterday that he does trust, maybe not this week, but at some stage for Nat, if they needed him to run out a full game. Interesting, though, that he said not this week. So if someone gets injured early tomorrow, And that Fyfe's going to have to come in on limited minutes as well. It's a very delicate position Fremantle are in right now.
Footy teams are, and that's the way it goes. This is the way the 8 is at the moment. Now, you tell us what's happening at West Coast, because there's another debutant,
yes,
which is number 9. Yeah.
Number 9 for the year. So Jacob Newton, the mid-season draftee, small forward out of Norwood in South Australia. Picked number 9 as well, funny enough, in the mid-season draft. He will play for West Coast. I expect him to be the sub.
Yep.
Matt Owies, who was the sub last week, has been named on the field, so that indicates he's likely to start. Jacob Newton had a bit of a broken wrist as well. Came back through the waffle last week. Only missed the 1 week with it, surprisingly, and will make his debut. Like I said, I expect him to be the sub against the Bulldogs.
He's a nice, he's solid-looking boy, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a big unit for his size in terms of muscle-wise. He's a smooth mover. I think eventually he'll end up in the midfield. Interestingly, only on a 6-month contract, Quarters. So he may not be here next year. Big opportunity for the young man to show his wares.
I like the idea. I like the idea of him at least getting a look at AFL level, and I would hope that Luca Grego would be another one of those players. There's still 2 games to go.
Yep.
There's still the final round. I just think if you're heading into a postseason and a preseason, it's good to know what the level is.
So interestingly, the only 2 players on the Eagles list that haven't actually played an AFL game now is Luca Grego and Cohen Livingston, once Jacob Newton steps foot on the field on Sunday, of course, between now and then. That's an interesting prospect. Both Cohen Livingston out of contract as well, an NGA product from 2 years ago, signed a 1-year deal last year. Luca Grego, of course, though, has signed an extension, so he will remain on. Reported this week as well, Quarters, Job Shanahan, fresh off 3 goals. He'll ink a new 2-year deal at West Coast in
We're
the coming
expecting
weeks.
Rhett Bazzo to be re-signing
Rhett
soon as
Bazzo
well.
will re-sign. And interestingly, they're interested in Callum Archie, the out-of-contract Brisbane forward, who's obviously over here for that game as well. So keep an eye on that one too, Quarters.
Start in the grand final and was very much in Norm Smith calculations at one point.
Probably should have won it, to be honest. It was him and Ashcroft, very close. I thought it was a great game.
I might have had a little bit of a gamble on Will Ashcroft, so I was pretty happy when his name came up at the end.
Oh, very nice. Yeah. But West Coast as well, a couple of interesting ins. Noah Long has been named in the forward pocket. Expect him to play. Kicked 3 goals from 18 disposals in the waffle last week. Jaden Hunt hasn't played for numerous weeks since he was subbed on in the Collingwood game at Marvel Stadium. I think that was round 16 from off the top of my head. He's been named in the extended squad. Bailey Williams and Jack Williams as well. I expect Bailey to come in because Archer Reid's out with that toe injury. Duggan's suspended, and they've also lost Tom Gross to a calf injury walk laps today. The big selection news out of West Coast, though, is who was not named as an inclusion, Quarters, and it's Harry Edwards. So he had a fitness test today. He didn't look right. I didn't expect him to be named. That foot injury is still no good. He's going to miss a 2nd straight week. The reason this is so significant, Quarters, is because they're playing the Dogs, who have Aaron Norton at 197 centimetres and Sam Darcy at 208 centimetres, who have kicked 100 goals between them this year. And they're also debuting Jordan Croft, the father-son, who's 200-odd centimetres. I think he's 203. So that leaves Sandy Brock, Ruben Ginbey and Rhett Bazzo to take on those 3 monsters this weekend, as well as Tim English, who does go forward and kick goals.
It's too much to ask of the kids, and that's just their position there. And you wouldn't put it past Ruben Ginbey. They did a tremendous job on Riley Thilthorpe last week. It was only really late when Thilthorpe got off the leash a bit. It wasn't entirely Ginbey's fault either.
No.
So I think he's done a fantastic job. He was giving away 10 centimetres last week, so he'll give a good account of himself. But we'll get into our tips in a little while.
I find this one interesting, though.
I'm worried about this game.
Well, so am I. And the reason I'm worried about this, and I asked Andrew McQualter this, and I said it with all due respect, because Ruben is so athletic, but Riley Thilthorpe's a power forward. He's your traditional power forward. He is athletic, don't get me wrong, but he's strong and lead up. And that's kind of Ruben Ginbey's game. That's the same with Jeremy Cameron. It's the same with Charlie Kerner. It's why he's done pretty well on those guys. Sam Darcy's an athletic freak. Aaron Norton is a high-flying guy. Sam Darcy's got that big wings. I don't reckon my wall, if they did the Jordan basketball in each hand.
I'm going Norton.
Yeah.
I'm going Ginbey for Norton.
But those 2 guys are a different prospect to a Kerno,
well, they
Cameron,
are, but
and a McCullum.
no other choice, mate.
No, I know, but I'm just saying it's a different prospect for Ginbey. It's going to be a difficult one because I think it's not going to be that one-on-one physicality. So he's going to need his teammates up the field to really limit the damage to the ball coming in. Easier said than done. Ed Richards is in all-Australian form. They've got Bonampelli, who's just firing at the moment. Liberatore's just signed a 1-year deal. He's going really well. Bailey Dale across halfback.
By the way,
this is a full-blown side.
Well, you mentioned the gun key forwards. You didn't mention 2 of the best small mediums in the comp.
Oh, 100%.
Riley West and Vandermeer.
Vandermeer's out with the
he's out.
injury, so
Okay.
he's out with an injury. But yeah,
Riley
West is an absolute
fair
jet.
goal in the clutch against Melbourne last week in the dying minutes. That was he's a good player, Riley.
And don't be surprised if Bontempelli goes forward for times as well,
as he always does.
They're just a star-studded lineup. So this is. I asked McQualter today about the fact that, they've got to have the effort that they put forward against Adelaide last week. He said that's the base effort. I worry about West Coast's ability to back it up. I really do. In the last half of this year, they've had one good performance, one really poor performance. And it hasn't always coincided with away or home. It's just depended. Sometimes it's 2 good weeks of performances and one really poor one. I worry if they're 5-10% low of what they were last week, the Bulldogs could really hurt them, and that could be a big loss.
Now, you've come fresh from the West Coast Conference today, Andrew McQualter.
Fascinating one.
A bit to say about a couple of very important players, Oscar Allen and Harley Reid. This is what he had to say about Oscar Allen.
Yeah, so we speak to Oscar regularly. We're in contact. We're working with Oscar's management. We're still not clear where it'll be, but we're working really hard to try and make Oscar a player here for a long time.
I expect him to be at Brisbane next year.
So this is obviously on the back of the Brisbane offer. There's constant speculation. I think there was a tweet from Tom Morris today from Channel 9 saying that he will tell West Coast that after round 24 that he's joining Brisbane. I'm not certain of that. My information is that he's still undecided. I know, but your information is that Brisbane are going to have him. So there's a lot out there at the moment.
I think it's a done deal, mate.
I don't think he's staying at West Coast, and McQualter's comments make it sound like that. And the reason they do is because then you hear him talking about Harley Reid.
Yeah, I'm really confident Harley will be here. So we're working. He's invested. I've spoken about this all along. Every day Harley turns up to work, he's incredibly invested in this team, this club. So I'm really optimistic that Harley will be here. Love working with him, and hopefully we'll work with him for a long time to come.
So that's complete contrast, isn't it, to what he said about Oscar to what he said about Harley Reid.
Yes,
so he's really so Harley's obviously contracted for next year. I don't think that matters. Harley's either going to sign an extension at the end of this year, or he's going to ask for a trade. That's my read of the room. I don't know that for certain, but that's what I'm reading.
Why wouldn't you just stay and just see out your contract?
I don't think he or his management or the club as well
want him to
him to have a year of if he won't he. It's already been 2 years of if he won't he. As soon as the ability last year opened for the Eagles to re-sign him beyond his initial draft contract, there's been talk about whether he'll stay, whether he'll go, how much he'll earn. I think it's wearing thin on a lot of people, not just Harley. I think it's wearing thin on a lot of people at West Coast. I think it's wearing thin on his management. I think it's just consuming way too much attention. So I reckon they want something done. And I also think Harley is actually at the biggest point where he's going to make the most money right now. He could win a Brownlow next year and be worth a lot more, but football's a fickle game, and you could also hurt yourself. We don't want that to happen.
What's
obviously.
your gut feel? Gut feel. You got to put your house on it. Where is he next year?
My gut feel is West Coast can't afford to put the amount of money that he wants into one player.
Yeah, my gut feel is he's not there next year.
My gut feel is that he's not there next year.
If he's not seeing out that final year, if what you say is right, my gut feel is he's not there next year.
But it's just fascinating, that juxtaposition, obviously, with McQualter and how he was so confident in Harley staying. And it still wouldn't surprise me if he does.
Very confident, yeah.
With that 2-year initial contract and the option for a 9. And then he was so unconfident that Oscar was staying. Those two comments separately are interesting. Together in the one presser, they're just telling about those two situations. I think there's a lot more hope that Harley stays than there is that Oscar stays. And like you said, your information very strong is that he'll be at Brisbane next year on a 5 to 6 year deal.
Can we put a line through the St Kilda suggestion that it's 25 mil, 12 years? It seems like it was a furphy, right?
I don't know if it was a full-blown furphy. I don't feel like those things get bandied around without information. I just think it might have been a discussion point of what would St Kilda have to offer him to get him there, and it would be 25 mil over 12 years or whatever. You know what I mean?
If he does leave and heads to Victoria, I believe it would be Geelong or Hawthorn.
Yeah, I believe it will be a powerhouse club. I believe it will be Geelong or Hawthorn. Don't cross out Collingwood.
Yep.
Either. I know their salary cap is tight, but I don't think a Victorian club's going to have to pay as much as West Coast will to keep him. I think it's a lot easier over there for him to... I think it's harder to keep him here money-wise than it is to lose him.
Mitch, let's tip some winners, but first let's hear from our mate at Tap Touch, David Short.
Shorty's tips.
G'day, Shorttey.
Hi there, Quarters.
Sydney is your hot tip for this week, although no Brody Grundy.
No, they're running hot. There's no doubt. They've been sneaky the back half of the season. So they knocked off Brisbane at the Gabba last week. They've now won 7 of their last 9. They're paying $3.15 to knock off the Cats. They've got home ground advantage to boot.
But no Grundy.
No Grundy, who's been a big part of their success, but they're in pretty good nick at the moment. And, with a head start, I can entertain Sydney this weekend.
I wonder what they're going to be entering next year. Because they've had a really good second half. First half was offset by injuries, so I'm looking forward to seeing what that is.
I reckon they're 1 or 2 decent forwards away from being right there in the mix again.
Okay, there you go. Who's your cooler for this week?
Cooler are the Kangas. They've had another really forgetful season. They've lost 8 of their last 9 games, sitting 17th on the AFL table. They might be able to bring up another win this weekend, but regardless, it's been a season that they'd rather forget.
A couple of key position players would be handy, as opposed to about 10,000 midfielders.
Indeed.
Who's your hot tip?
Hot tip this weekend, I'm going to take a multi with Mitch Georgiades and Riley Thilthorpe to both kick 2 or more. That's very achievable given the form they're in. And then I think the Doggies can dine out on West Coast across there. One thing they've done really well this year, the Western Bulldogs, when they've played bottom 8 sides, they've normally really gone to town on them. And I think Norton will kick a bag.
Don't take anything out of their performance against the Crows last week?
No, well, they were good. They were good. But this time they got themselves up for that game. This time they're away from home, missing a couple of the senior players. It looks a bit untidy.
I was at their last game at Marvel 2 against the D's. It wasn't pretty. I think this one's got the capability of being very, very ugly, I think, Shorty. No surprises with your drifter.
Drifters are Essendon, so they've blown from $4 out to $4.50 for their clash against St Kilda there on Friday night.
Your player to watch, he has been in the news, hasn't he?
Big style, and understandably so. Wanganeen Miller, what about this? His last month, 139 disposals and 7 goals in his last 4 games. He's paying $2.15 for 35 plus disposals, $2.70 to kick 2 or more goals this weekend. That's quite likely he'll do both of those 2 things.
I picked my team of the week over the course of a weekend, and before the weekend starts, I just put his name in on a halfback flanker in the guts.
He's running hot.
He just racks them up, and he uses the ball so well.
Is he going to stay?
I reckon he's going to Port.
Yeah, gee.
I reckon he's going to Port Adelaide, really close to Jason Horne-Francis. So, he'd be a big loss, wouldn't he? Let's see what St Kilda gains.
They're going to need a great big treasure chest to try and make up for what he's been doing for their club of late.
Great to see you, Shorty.
All the best, Quarters.
Righto, mate. Friday night, Marvel Stadium, 5:20 p.m. Essendon, $4.50. St Kilda, $1.20. Essendon averaging only 57 points in its last 5 games at Marvel Stadium, the fewest by any team at this round's venue. Clearly, they've got an injury list still of 15 and growing. So
I actually feel for them at the moment. Another debutant, Unwin, to debut, but I just feel for Essendon. They've.
Sorry, mate, I don't. It's in the DNA. I can't feel.
But the worst thing is they've still got 3 games left, not 2.
St Kilda took 151 marks last week against Richmond, the second most by any team this year, and its 4th most ever in a game. That uncontested brand.
Yeah, they were all backwards.
Yeah.
I don't. So, okay, and what did you make, Quarters, of the speculation this week, the reports that came out about Steele, Wanganeen Miller, Windhager, Wilkie, and Marshall all wanting out?
He's defiant against most of those. I think Wanganeen Miller is heading to Port Adelaide. Great mates with Jason Horne-Francis. I think it's gone this long.
Yeah, I agree.
You would have recommitted by now.
Windhager hasn't got a contract for next year. He's been linked to Collingwood as well as multiple other clubs. I think he's gone.
So there's concerns over putting $1.7 million offer to De Koning.
Which pushes Marshall out.
And other players. So why you would push Marshall out, I don't think it's great list management. I think Rowan Marshall's one of the best rucks in the competition. So I'm not sure what you are spending $1.7 million on it. De Koning's a terrific athlete, don't get me wrong, but that's way too much. That's way overs.
This club is in turmoil. I don't know why we're not saying this. So, you talk to people in the industry, they say Russ Lyon now runs St Kilda essentially, right? Mm-hmm. If this is what they're doing to get these players in and they lose those 5 players, Wilkie's their next captain. So if all those 5 players walk at the end of the year, I don't see Ross's job's untenable. They'll win this game this weekend and they'll continue to rise up the ladder, which is bad for them. But if all 5 of those guys walk out the door at the end of this year, Quarters, he cannot possibly coach that side next year.
I'll tell you what.
You have to clean it out.
No, he's coaching them next year, I guarantee. I'll tell you why Marshall, Wilkie and Wanganeen Miller are important. Marshall has recorded, now we know how good he is around the ground, but he's recorded a tackle efficiency of 80%, which is the highest percentage of the top 75 in the AFL for tackle attempt. Callum Wilkie, last round, third ever Saint to have 29 plus disposals, 16 plus marks and 5 plus intercept marks in a game. All-Australian defender, gun. And Wanganeen Miller, we know what he does. With 25 kicks last weekend, broke the record for kicks in a season with 479. It's just not just the kicks; it's the way he uses the footy. It's his footy instincts. So I just think they are at a crossroads, St Kilda. They're trying to be relevant, but they might have just outsmarted themselves.
And don't forget too, the Wanganeen Miller goal against Melbourne. Who kicked it to him? Marshall.
Yeah,
that kick is still one of the best kicks of the season.
Some consultation in the middle. They knew what they were doing.
From Windhager and Wanganeen Miller.
They're very smart.
It's like I said, I just don't know how if you're the board, if they all leave, you can honestly sit there and say that Russell Lane's still the man.
So Saints get the job done.
Yep.
Okay, Friday, the big one. Fremantle, $1.77, Brisbane, $2.05. Time change here for listeners.
Yep.
6:35 p.m. start. The Dockers have won. What an amazing effort. 5 games when trailing at three-quarter time this season.
Comeback kings.
The most by any team with all of these from round 16 onwards. Brisbane, up and down. You can't really get a form line through them. I do say beware the wounded lion this week, though. We've seen who their ins are. This is a contest, this one. I'm going to pick Freo to win this. It is a home game. They have to win. They win, they're in.
Yeah, I agree. At 100%. I think Freo win. I'm tipping it because they're at home, but I do find it interesting. If Lachie Neale was playing, I think I'd be leaning towards Brisbane. Interestingly, Brisbane, like you said, they haven't got a great form line. They lose one week and lose really poorly, and the next week they come out and they fire. Sydney really broke them down quite well last week. So I think Fremantle will look to a similar pattern, obviously a different size ground. But yeah, I think the Dockers, I think the Fife News, I think the way they're playing, I still think they're underrated. And I think they're playing a bit of us against the world at the moment, but in a good way, not in a we're arrogant and we need to tell everyone how good we are. It's almost like, cool, keep underrating us. We've won 11 of 12. We know how good we are. And I like what they're doing. And the fact of the matter is, like, you can look at it 2 ways with the 5 games that they've won when they've been down at three-quarter time. You can either look at it as they were down at three-quarter time and should have been better, which is an argument there. But I actually think they're one of the most fit teams in the competition, and it's years of work that have gone into it, and it's why they're able to overrun teams. So I'm backing the Dockers at the moment. I think they can win their final 2 games, and I think they finish top 4.
Yeah, I'm not sure about the Dogs next week in Melbourne. They what concerned me last week was the 8-goal second quarter against Port. Yes, they came back, great effort, believed in themselves, backed their system, they'd got the job done, but that 8 goals against a side that, they were winning, that second quarter was about clearance and contest, and they are the poorest contest side in the comp, Port. So just a couple of alarm bells there. My theory on Brisbane, the forward line, we thought Logan Morris has been terrific this year.
Outstanding.
As he was in the grand final. We thought he'll fill the void. He'll fill that void. And we see Sam Day coming back in this weekend as well as a key forward. But I think we're still seeing the loss of Joe Danaher play out here.
100%.
Charlie Cameron hasn't kicked a goal for 3 weeks. He needs to lift his work rate, and Eric Hipwood has to do more as well. If they're going to challenge again, which I think they can, but it's going to have to be a quick turnaround, and those two need to lift their work rate.
I agree with you. I fully agree with you. But
I'm picking Freo, but I think this is a 50-50 for me.
Oh, it's going to be a great game.
People First Stadium Saturday. Let's call it Carrara. 10:35 a.m. Gold Coast $1.43. The Giants $2.85. No Jesse Hogan, Mitch. A big out.
No Buckley as well. Still.
No. So there's a few concerns there. So it's interesting. I'm going to pick the Suns. It's at home. You always pick them at home.
That's why I'm picking them too, as well as those 2 outs.
If you look at the 8, and we all accept that 13, Carlton got in the finals last year with 13 wins. 15 might not get you in this year. Of all the teams in the 8 or just outside, I think they'd all be stiff to miss finals. But I reckon GWS, given the size and the magnitude of the losses they've had this year, are the ones you could almost say, yeah, you don't deserve to play.
Yeah, I agree.
I think they're the ones you could discount.
I agree with that fully. I just think Gold Coast are firing. I don't think Gold Coast lose for the rest of the year like Freo, and I think they finish top 4 too.
Yep.
At the moment, I've got Adelaide, Collingwood, Gold Coast Freo as my top 4. And I love what the Suns are doing. Anderson and Rao, both of them could win the Brownlow. I think they'll both finish top 5. And King is starting to fire again and looks very good as a forward. Humphrey's in form, Long.
Well,
I love what they're doing.
You're getting fed by that midfield. You'd have a bit of confidence. So Rowell has been involved in almost 31% of all scoring chains at Carrara this year. That's ranked number 1 at the club. They've also outscored their opposition from clearances in all 7 games there this year by 23.6. They are a good clearance team. I really like their ruckman. I really like Jared Witts. He is one of my favourites in the comp. He's ruckcraft as much as anything else. Has attended almost 87% of ruck contests per game, the most by any ruckman in the AFL, averaging 2.2 ball-up clearances, ranked 3rd. He is a fitness freak, and he's a very good player.
But I just think the Giants, and also don't forget Stringer's out as well with a hamstring. There's just too many key players out for me. So for me, the Suns are going to be
just
firing.
From a historical perspective, just to balance it, the Giants have won 14 of their last 15 against Gold Coast.
Yeah.
Dating back to round 4, 2015.
Different Gold Coast now.
It is a different Gold Coast. So, look, I think we pick the Suns quite confidently in that game. Saturday, 11:20am, Marvel Stadium. Carlton, $1.50. Port Adelaide, $2.60. Carlton has won the 3rd quarter in just 3 games this season, the equal fewest of any team, with West Coast, of course. So if they're in with a chance at halftime, you'd almost back Port Adelaide. You feel like they've got another win in them. Is it going to be final round? Is it going to be at Marvel Stadium for Ken Hinkley and for Travis Boak? But I'm going to pick the Blues here just because it's in Melbourne.
I'm picking the Blues. I'm not watching this game, though.
You're not watching it?
No, not that game.
Really? Okay.
I'm watching this game because I'm going to go live.
Oh, yeah. Saturday, 2:15pm, MCG Hawthorn, $1.28. Melbourne, $3.65. Almost got the job done last week against the Western Bulldogs, Melbourne. So are in reasonable form under a new coach. Well, their caretaker coach, Troy Chaplin. But, it was a good win by Hawthorn last week. Loic Mead booted a career-high 3 goals against Collingwood. Of course, the Hawks outscored the Magpies 32-8 from clearances when he attended ruck contests against Darcy Cameron. Forward line functioned well. Nick Watson was in great form. I'm going to back the Hawks. A little bit of sadness today. Punky's announced his retirement. Luke Bruce.
Yeah.
What a career.
Rookie. A rookie with more than 500
and not only
goals.
a rookie, but a rookie from the New South Wales region, state. So he's started his career as a league player.
Yeah, so first ballot Hall of Famer for me.
Yeah.
But Hawthorn should win this game comfortably. They need to play finals. And they have to do it to play it really.
It's all going to come down to the final round for the Hawks. They've got to get this job done, and it's going to come down to Brisbane at the Gabba final round. Gee, what a day! What a Sunday that's going to be.
100%.
Freo Western Bulldogs into Hawthorn Brisbane at the Gabba.
Big game, big weekend.
Be on Channel 7 too, both games.
Live and free.
They did a bit of a switcheroo on the Thursday night
Why
into the
wouldn't
Sunday.
you?
Absolutely. Adelaide Oval, Saturday, 5:35pm. Big game this. Adelaide, $1.42. Collingwood, $2.85. Collingwood coming off a shocking loss to Hawthorn and some really poor form of late.
Yeah, they're not really up and about at the moment.
Is
and
this
the Crows
the sort of game they win, though? Well,
they can.
If there's any team in the comp that milks the us against them, it's Collingwood.
100%. But look, at Adelaide,
He's nearly got rolled by the Eagles. The
yeah, but I thought West Coast. Don't forget, Collingwood nearly did as well.
Mm-hmm.
West Coast are going to do that to teams at times, especially over here. Adelaide are in great form. The Crows, for me, will win this game. I just think because it's at home. Nick Dacos looks beaten up, and I think they look a bit old and slow, to be honest. And that's the danger of taking the oldest list ever into this season. You're going to play well early, but you've got to fall away.
Well, this is they've got to win this. It's last chance saloon for their flag hopes.
They're looking for the bye right now. So they need this win, but I'm tipping the Crows.
Only 6-goal streak they've coughed up this last week, Adelaide, to West Coast, so that was really interesting. Jordan Dawson averaging 30-plus disposals, 11-plus contested possessions, 7 inside 50s and 8 tackles.
Speaking of Brownlow.
Against Collingwood only in his last forward games. Loves playing against the Pies. And yes, he is a Brownlow chance. Could be a bit of a head-to-head, him and Nick Dacos for the
I reckon Dacos has fallen away a bit. I've got Rowell winning it from Dawson at the moment in my head. But
yeah, Dawson, they finished on top of the ladder. I reckon he's a big chance. But don't write off Nick Dacos at this point. Magpies are undefeated, however, in their last 11 matches against Adelaide, with 10 wins and a draw, dating back to round 19, 2017, with an average margin of 21 points. Of course, Adelaide have been, to quote Dennis Cometti, they've snuck up on us like a librarian this season, I reckon, Adelaide. Do you agree?
I do. I think it's a great testament to Nick's and the board at Adelaide.
So he's my coach of the year.
Yeah, I agree. But I think it's also the board has to get a lot of comeuppance for this one too, because they backed him in. They didn't have to the last 2 years, and they kept backing him in to the rebuild. And it's a lesson for West Coast board, Quarters. Back the guy in that does the rebuild if you think he's the man.
Yeah, I'll tell you
Get stuff around him right, and then back him in.
They're a fair way back from where Adelaide were, though.
They are, but it just shows what you do, and you put the right strength and conditioning people around him. You get the recruiting right. You get the drafting right. A lot of these guys, when they come into coaching gigs, they can coach. It's not that. It's a lot of other things that affect their performances as well. And Adelaide have just done fantastic. It's a very stable, sound club, and they're playing like it. They've got a good captain and a good coach. You get
and
those
good depth.
two, yeah.
Good depth.
But they've done that over years. You get that stuff right, and it's smart recruiting. Rankin they brought in. They're being linked to Archie as well. The guys they brought in this year, Neil Bullen, the two GWS boys. It's fantastic recruiting.
For balance, Neil Bullen might be the recruit of the year. Just in terms of not the best player who's changed clubs, but for balance. I'm going to ask you a question about this next game. You mentioned Carlton Port is a game you wouldn't be watching.
Yep.
Here's your option. Carlton Port or this next game? North Melbourne, Richmond at Ninja Stadium, Sunday at 11:10am. North Melbourne, $1.57, Richmond $2.40.
Can I go for a 10K run?
No. Yes, you can.
Okay, I'll do that instead.
Gee whiz. North Melbourne is ranked in the bottom 2 in scores from intercept possessions differential in each of the last 4 seasons, ranking last in 2025 with minus 21. The Kangaroos conceded 12 goals to General Forwards last round, the equal most by any team this season. Richmond, I think we've all been impressed with. We know they're on a long-term build, but they are limping to the finish line. Have been out-tackled by 6.5 per game at stoppage, ranked last. Look, I actually reckon it's a bit of a line ball of this. I'm going with North, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Tigers get up.
I'm going with North because it's in Tassie, and a lot of those kids wouldn't have even been to Tassie, let alone have played there. And North will have a bit more experience there. But, yeah, both teams just want the season to finish, don't they? They just want to get out of there.
When you're down that bottom end, you do. Yeah.
So, and Richmond, I reckon, like we said, Richmond have been great this year. We've praised them so many times. But even that, the tackling around stoppages, that's an effort thing. And it's just because their bodies are tired. And their senior players are tired. Hopper and Taranto have done a lot. Nankervis, they've done a lot of heavy lifting. They're just exhausted.
Sunday, 1:15pm. Interesting game, this one. Sydney, 3:15. Geelong, $1.36. Want a bit of a call out to Jack Buller here. What a season, what a run he's having. He's won 42% of one-on-one contests. Ranked 4th of the top 25 players to be targeted in a contest. Well done to him. I think this is I'm picking Geelong. If Brodie Grundy was playing, I would be picking Sydney.
Yeah, I agree with you.
But he's out under concussion protocols. Massive out for them. I really like what they've brought to the table. They've won 8 of 9, I think it is. But yet to score 100 points in a game at the SCG this season, which I think is which sort of underlines the biggest problem they have. It's their forward line. They need key forwards.
Yeah, they do. Jack Buller's been fantastic. It'll be interesting to see what happens with Mackay and Ugle-Hagan.
So McCartan Cameron, we're not expecting him to kick 10. No. What is he up to, 79 now?
Yeah, but also what I'll say is I thought Geelong were really poor last week against Essendon. I don't think they're going to be like that 2 weeks in a row. And I think that's a bit of a scary thing for Sydney. I think Chris Scott would be – publicly he does what he does, but privately they would have got a reaming, I reckon. They would know that they were not happy with. And, yeah, I think the Cats will get this done, and it wouldn't surprise me if it's a bit of a big margin because I think Geelong will come out, and I reckon Cameron might get a couple out of this one.
So I just want to shout out to one of my favourite players and one I reckon of the most underrated for his value in the comp. That's Tom Atkins at Geelong. His 6 tackles last weekend, with those, he broke the record for the most tackles in a home and away season with 191. Scott Selwood's 202 in 2011 is the record, including finals. So,
question for you.
Yep.
Does he make All-Australian? Tom Atkins in the
No,
squad at least?
he doesn't.
Does he get the squad?
He gets in the extended squad,
Yeah.
but not in the final
Because I think
squad.
he's averaging over 20 touches
There's no
as well.
slide on him, mate. It's just that it's bloody hard to
No,
get
but
a
I just think he deserves a squad membership because
yeah.
of the tackles, and he's averaging over 20 touches a game. It's a good season.
Now, this final game of the round, Marvel Stadium, Sunday, 2:40 p.m. Western Bulldogs $1.01, the West Coast Eagles 17. You're flying across. I was there 2 weeks ago, same venue for the 83-point loss to Melbourne.
Wasn't great.
Mate, I feel for you.
Yeah, I think this is going to be 100 points, unfortunately. I hope it's not. I hope West Coast put up a fight, but I just think those three tools up forward, they've had trouble in the ruck. English is just so free-moving. Bonampelli, Richards, they're so deep in that midfield. Bailey Dale, we've spoken about it all. The only hope for West Coast is that the Dogs can't defend.
No.
So if they can get enough ball, if is the big statement there, they can get enough ball, they can keep it down and work at their magic, they might be able to get some scoreboard pressure on, because the Bulldogs are just terrible when it comes to defending. But they've got to get their hands on the footy. And the Dogs, I feel like, are just going to smash them at clearances. Marvel's not a massive ground. It's under the roof. They're going to be so clean. So I just think that the Dogs will get this done probably close to triple figures.
Good to see Tim Kelly back in form. Last 3 weeks, averaged 25 disposals, 15 contested, and 8 clearances. He's equal with Bailey Smith and Matt Rowell in those numbers. So well done to him. He's found his way back to where he belongs. He's not a high forward anymore as he was at Geelong early days. He's a midfielder.
Yep.
I think he needs to stay there.
Confidence
The other
up.
one was Tom McCarthy, who attended 14 centre bounces at the weekend. So we're perhaps seeing a little bit of evolution there for him. So maybe see a bit of that at the weekend.
Named in the back pocket, but I expect him to be in the first set of bounces.
The Dogs, we know, can struggle in defence to defend all over the ground and have struggled generally against top 9 teams, but they've beaten up on bottom 8 teams.
And I think they'll do
That's
this.
why I'm worried. And also won 14 of their last 16 at Marvel by an average of just under 10 goals. So they do play that ground really, really well. So I'm concerned about this game for West Coast. What would be a good result? I'm saying
under 10 goals.
Yeah, I reckon under 8. Under 8.
Yeah, I just think at West Coast, like I said, the inconsistency, the 3 tall forwards, the midfield numbers, it's pointing to a really tough day at the office.
See, a tough day for you too, mate.
We talk about this. Really nice coffee guy there.
well.
Makes good coffees.
I'll tell you what, the pies
Bickies.
in the pie warmer at Marvel, you've got to be careful. You need to
Yeah, they're
get
hot.
them out of the warmer.
Yeah, you got to keep
And
them.
they're very hot. You've got to sit them on the side for about 5 minutes and just let them cool down. They're really, really hot. You know, you can cool down finding your way to the after-match rooms, though. It's very difficult.
If you can find it.
If they're through the kitchen, through the lift out the back there, it's very difficult. But, hey, Mitch, I'm excited. Time for the Thirsty Camel mailbag. This week's special Little Creatures Pale Ale, 330ml bottles. Camel Club member price is $66.99 a carton. Join up in store or online today. I know you're amazed. Every week we're giving away a $50 digital voucher thanks to our long-time sponsor and good friends at Thirsty Camel. Get your questions in for next week at TheWestSport at wanews.com.au. Leave your mobile number at the bottom of your email as we'll send you the voucher if you're a weekly winner.
Wait, so hold on. That was Little Creatures Pale Ale for how much?
$66.99 a carton.
That's a bargain.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
You got to get to the Thirsty. Oh, mate, you'll be there tonight, won't you?
Yeah, well, I'm going now.
Okay. You'll go after you've covered the opener. Good luck, by
Oh,
the way.
yeah, sorry. I've got the AFLW first.
Good
and
luck.
then I'm going to go and get a carton.
Yeah, good luck to the Eagles tonight.
Against
And,
Gold Coast and then the Dockers as well this weekend.
Yes, good luck to them. This one from Paul. Hi, guys. I'd like to hear your thoughts on where you would rate that last play of the Fremantle game when Alex Pearce marks and kicks the winner to put us in the top 4. Is that the most important passage of play so far in our history? No. I think Stephen Hill off the bench at Cardinia Park. Probably, and there's been a few others. There have been a few goals kicked after the siren, but it was a terrific piece of play.
What I will say is that whole strategy from the Sean Darcy smashed hit out with the fist to the goal, that kick was meant for Alex Pearce. Make no mistake about it. It wasn't to his advantage, but that he was meant for that mark, right? That hole has to be given to Justin Longmuir as credit. He gets it smashed a lot. I thought his coaching at the weekend was outstanding, and that's long-term coaching. That's drilling that in every week at training.
On the other hand, if you're Port Adelaide, if you're Ken Hinkley, he hasn't got any hair, but any he's got, he'd be pulling out because
you're so frustrated at Rosine not being able to defend that.
But also Alex Pearce or Brendan Cox regularly go forward late in games.
Yeah, they go to the wing.
Surely you know if it's a Yeah, they go to the creep up to the wing,
and then they
go
push
forward.
Yep, no, you knew it was coming, and I was sitting at the FIBA annual dinner. I was sitting next to a fellow journo of ours, Catherine Healy from Fox, and we were discussing it. We were watching it on my phone.
You knew
during
Alex
dinner,
Pearce was going forward.
and yeah, we said to each other, "Wonder if they'll pull Cox or Pearce up forward." I said, "I think it'll be Pearce." Bang! 5 seconds later, you see the mark. We didn't know the mark. Was
Hey,
gonna
by
be
the
taken,
way, he
but we
still
knew
had
it was
to
gonna
take it in a contested
Yeah.
and go back and kick it with a fair bit, and he's come back.
And it wasn't a
game.
great kick either, was it?
So what?
But
So
it went
what?
through the middle. But what I just think there has to be a bit of credit to Justin Longmuir because that's excellent coaching.
Hey, Quarters, why is there no Thursday night AFL in round 23? How ordinary have the AFL fixtures this year been? Shouldn't Freo v Brisbane deserve the billing of being a standalone game this Friday night? Michelle. Absolutely, yes. The reason there's no games, it's the opening of the AFLW
Yep.
season.
So we're going to give him a bit of clear air.
We
I
do.
would have liked to have seen the AFLW start the bye week,
Yep.
but also happy to see it back.
Okay. This is from a fellow Mitch from Kinross, and he says,
hey, Mitch.
Hi, Quarters and Woody.
Hey, mate.
Is this one of the top 5 most significant games in the Dockers' history? Finals are on the line. It's a must-win, and on top of that, it could very well be Nat Fyfe's last home game. A 2-time Brownlow medalist and club legend. The emotional weight and potential consequences of this match feel massive. Given the stakes, does this game deserve a place among the club's biggest moments, alongside finals campaigns, the 2013 grand final appearance, or even milestone derbies? We'd be good to hear your take on Thursday's pod. It's a huge game, but no.
No.
I think. Don't look ahead a bit. If they can manage to finish top 4, they play. Let's say they play Adelaide week 1, right? You're going to favour Adelaide to win at home, but there's going to be a lot of pressure on the Crows.
Yeah,
a
100%.
lot more than there will be on Freo, right?
And I think Freo actually match up well defensively against Adelaide.
Agree. I think it's hard to win a flag from the West. Easier, I think this year it's gettable, unless you finish top 4, particularly
finish top
top 2 if you're from here, though, right?
Yep.
What people forget is, you go play Adelaide. Well, if you can manage to jag it, you got a home prelim.
100%. And what I think Freo fans need to get past is these biggest moments in our history. I think it's definitely because the flag hasn't come that they rely on those. You're a big boy club now. Stop thinking about those moments and start thinking about just the fantastic moments that come with football.
Okay, I've got a couple of longer ones there, and they're on West Coast teams, so I'm going to put them in the back pocket and read those out next week, okay? I'll just finish with this one. Jermaine, who pays for Jeremy McGovern's son's finger to the crowd? Does he need an increase to his pocket money?
That's pretty funny.
I thought it was pretty humorous.
I
I think
thought
it was
great.
it was okay. Come on. They're running amok too after the game, kicking the footy in the room.
Good on
You got to
'em.
love them. You love that family stuff. I think if it's a player giving the finger to the crowd, that's one thing. He's just a kid. I think we'll leave him alone with that one. Don't you agree?
I thought it was pretty funny.
That was from Jermaine. Anyway, thanks for your mail. Who are we giving it to this week? Let's give it to our friend Mitch from Kinross.
I like Mitch from
namesake.
Kinross.
What do you reckon?
Yep. Go out there, get your $50 voucher and get down there. Get that pale ale little creatures.
Do. And Mitch, you're talking about the greatest games in history. Let's hope for you
It's one of the
in
best.
6 or 7 weeks,
Oh.
you're talking about the greatest game in your life, and that is a Fremantle premiership. What do you think?
I reckon that's on.
Do you?
I reckon it's a chance.
Well,
they win
they're-
this weekend. I reckon they're right in it.
Yeah, geez, it's a big one last round.
I
against
can't
the-
wait. How good's footy?
That's good, particularly at this time of year.
Oh, best time of year. Josh is up and about in the box.
You have been listening to the West Sports Show. We have been brought to you by Tab Touch. Got the touch? Download the Tab Touch app today, Mitch. What's gambling really costing you? For free and confidential support, visit gamblinghelponline.org.au. Remember, you can watch or listen to this podcast on YouTube Music. Leave us a rating and a review, and don't forget to follow this podcast so you don't miss an episode. Thanks for listening, Mitch. Go well, young man.
Thank you.